Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari. Radha Hari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivachikacharya Ashtatara Satyasri Srimad His Divine Grace ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Premsa Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Braja Bhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Bhakti Ki Premanandi. Glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled devotee. Glories to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. This morning, here in Sri Vrindavan Dham, we are reading from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3, entitled Hiranyakashipu's Plan to Become Immortal, and this is text number 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Iti Shushuma Nirbandam Tapa Paramam Ashtita Vidatsvanantaram Yuktam Swayam Tribhuvanashvara Iti Shushuma Nirbandam Yuktam Swayam Tribhuvaneshwara Iti Shushma Nirbandam Tapa Paramamastita Vidatsvanataram Yuktam Swayam Tribhuvaneshwara.
Vidhasvatmantaram yuktam Swayam Tribhuvaneshwara yuktam Swayam Tribhuvaneshwara.
Iti, in this way, Shushma, we have heard, Nirbandam, strong determination, Tapa, austerity, Paramam, very severe, Atistaha, is situated in, Vidatsva, please take steps. Anantaram, as soon as possible. Yuktam, befitting. Swayam, yourself. Tribhuvana Ishvara, O Master of the three worlds. Translation, O Lord, I'm reliable that in order to obtain your post, Hiranyakashipu is now engaged in severe austerity. You are the master of the three worlds. Please, without delay, take whatever steps you deem appropriate. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the material world, a servant is provided for by the master, but is always planning how to capture the master's post. There have been many instances of this in history. Especially in India during the Mohammedan rule, many servants, by plans and devices, took over the posts of their masters. It is learned from Chaitanya literature that one big zamindar, Subudhi Rai, kept a Mohammedan boy as a servant. Of course, he treated the boy as his own child. Sometimes when the boy would steal something, there was a mark on the boy's back from this chastisement. Later, after that boy had by crooked means become Hussein Shah, Nawab of Bengal, one day his wife saw the mark on his back and inquired about it. The Nawab replied that in his childhood he had been a servant of Subudhi Rai, who had punished him because of some mischievous activities. Upon hearing this, the Nawab's wife immediately became agitated and requested her husband to kill Subudhi Rai. Nawab Hussein Shah, of course, was very grateful to Subudhi Rai and therefore refused to kill him. But when his wife requested him to turn Subudhi Rai into a Mohammedan, the Nawab agreed. Taking some water from his water pot, he sprinkled it upon Subudhi Rai and declared that Subudhi Rai had now become that this Nawab had been an ordinary menial servant of Subudhi Rai, but was somehow or other able to occupy the supreme post of the Nawab of Bengal. This is the material world. Everyone is trying to become master through various devices, although everyone is servant of his senses. Following this system, a living entity, although servant of his senses, tries to become master of the whole universe. Hiranyakashipu was a typical example of this, and Brahma was informed by the demigods of his intentions. Oma gyan timirandasya ginangena shalakaya chaksuri militam jena tasmai sikudave namaha Sri Chaitanya manobhistam stapitam jale vayam rupa kadamayam dadanti sva badantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama. So in this verse of Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam, the king of all scriptures, we again hear something about Hiranyakashipu, who is one of the first demoniac this verses in this chapter about Hiranyakashipu, who is, as you know, a very prominent personality in the 7th canto. Actually, one might question, why are there so many verses describing the name, the form, the paraphernalia, the pastimes of such a demon as Hiranyakashipu in the Srimad Bhagavatam? This Bhagavatam is famous as Amala Purana. Amala Purana means very old, so Srimad Bhagavatam is ancient scripture. But Amala, it's a very Shastra. As 6 of them are for those in ignorance to gradually elevate them. 6 are for those who are in the mode of passion. And 6 are for those in the mode of goodness. But the Bhagavatam reigns supreme because it is Suddha Sattva. It's beyond even the mode of mundane goodness. It's transcendental. Amala. Therefore it's considered spotless because it deals wholly and solely with pure, unalloyed devotion to the Lord. The Bhagavatam states this of itself. The famous verse, Sabai pumsham padar dharmo yatto bhaktir doksaje ahitukiya pateyata yayatma shrupashidati. That the supreme occupation and dharma for all humanity, which mankind attained, loving, transcendent Lord. Such service must be ahitukiya pateyata, must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. This is Bhagavatam. Amala Parana. So again, why is the Asurya Varya, the best of asuras? This is a title which Hiranyakashipu really liked. Just like sometimes we get titles and professor or boss or whatever people are proud. So Asurya Varya, distinguished title for demons. Prahlad Maharaj addressed his Pita like this: "Oh, Asurya Varya, you are best of the demons." Oh, thank you, Prahlad. Why is Asurya Varya given so much prominence in a shastra that deals with pure devotion? There's a question. A student master. Well, one reason that we're studying so much about Hiranyakashipu is that we can fully appreciate, or let us say we can fully understand, what is an asuric personality? What is a demon by definition? And later, by hearing about his son, Prahlad Maharaj, we can appreciate and understand what is a saintly personality. Then we can decide who we'd like to follow. There's that saying, follow the leader. Everyone in this world has some heroes that they follow. Some of those heroes in modern society are steeped in the mode of ignorance. Some of them are in the mode of passion. Some of them in the mode of goodness. Some of them, by God's grace, saintly persons, they traverse this earth. They're Suddha-sattva. They're in the mode of goodness. But in life, you want to imbibe that person's teachings, imbibe that person's lifestyle, imbibe that person's goals. So Bhagavatam gives us a very clear definition of what is an asuric personality and what is a saintly personality. And by comparing these two things with our intelligence, we can conclude the superiority of one over the other. Just like when you go to the market to purchase some fruit. Let's say you're going to the market to purchase some mangoes. So you get to the mango stall, the mango wala, and he's got a big pile of mangoes. And you're buying some fruits for the 4 o'clock offering or something. Ripe mango, you don't want mango. Mangoes are pickle. But we need ripe mango to offer to the deity. So there's green ones, there's ones that are changed a little bit, but there's 2 or 3 you see there. They're yellow-orange, they're soft, and they have little black spots on them. The pujaris and the cooks will know how important these details are. And it has a certain scent to it, that mangoes. You pick it up and you smell and you compare it to the other mangoes, and then you tell the mango wala, I will take this one. So in the same way, we have the opportunity by studying Bhagavatam to understand what is the real asura, what is the real demon, and what is the real devotee. How can we understand? We can one way to understand a personality is not just by its external dress. They say clothes don't make the man. You can really understand someone when they speak. I heard Prabhupada say here in Vrindavan in the early 70s, you can understand the greatness of a Vaishnava when he speaks on Bhagavatam or Bhagavad-Gita or Chaitanya Charitamrita. And of course the perfect example was Prabhupada himself, although he didn't allude to himself. So we can understand what is the nature of Hiranyakashipu as an asura by his words, by his, let us say, his instruction. Particular verse who is giving Brahma Shatra Sameditam Sudaya Tvam Tapo Yagna Swadaya Vrata Dahina. He says to the Daityas, the demons, my dear servants, while I am engaged in the business of killing Lord Vishnu, well, you go down to the planet Earth, which is flourishing due to Brahminical culture and a Kshatriya government. These people are engaged in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, regulative vows, he says, and charity. Destroy all the people thus engaged. This is a demon. He's giving instructions to his followers to destroy Vedic culture, to destroy those who embody Vedic culture, the Brahmanas, the Vaishyas. We understand this is Asuric. And similarly, we can understand the personality of Prahlad Maharaj. We can understand his heart also by studying Srimad Bhagavatam and decide if we want him to be our hero. There's a famous verse also later on, actually, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, glorifying Prahlad Maharaj, who you know is one of the 12 Mahajans. Although he's a 5-year-old boy, he's a fully enlightened personality, Nitya Siddha, devotee. So that verse is Brahmanya Shila Sampana Satya Sanda Jitendriya Atmavat Sarvabhutanam Ekapriya Surittama. It's a long verse, but we love to hear about our heroes. So Maharaj Prahlad, the son of Hiranyakashipu, was completely cultured, qualified being to the absolute truth. Yes, I'd like to be like him. He had full control of his senses and mind. And like the super soul, he was very kind to every living entity and was the best friend of everyone. To respectable persons, he acted exactly like a menial servant. To the poor, he was like a father. To his equals, he was attached like a sympathetic brother. And he considered his teachers, his spiritual masters, and his older godbrothers, this is my favorite part of the verse, and his older godbrothers to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was completely free from a natural pride that might have arisen from his good education, riches, beauty, aristocracy, and so on. You have a choice. Surprisingly, many people make the wrong choice. They choose to follow the hedonistic life of Hiranyakashipu without shame. People have no shame these days in engaging in immoral, sinful activities. It's like the norm. It's almost as if they're proud of it. This is how far Kali Yuga has advanced. But what is the result of following the path of Prahlad Maharaj? And what is the result of following the Hiranyakashipu? Well, verse the high road, you take the low road. I'll go to heaven and you'll go to hell. I'll take the high road, meaning the road of devotional service. You take the low road, sense gratification, sinful activity, immoral activity. I'll go to heaven and you'll go to hell. Nevertheless, many people follow Hiranyakashipu. Kalo Sudra Sambhavan, stated in Shastra, Kalo Sudra Sambhavan, that in the age of Kali, almost everyone's a Sudra, not so enlightened and addicted to sinful activity. However, if one is fortunate and in one or many other personalities in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has said there's only 2 paths that you can really choose from in this world. And they have variegated smaller paths, but there's basically 2 paths that you can choose from in this world. One is Pravritti Marg and the other is Nivritti Marg. Pravritti Marg means the path of sense gratification. And Nivritti Marg technically means the path of renunciation, which for a Vaishnava culminates in devotional service to the Lord. So the path of sense gratification, Pravritti Marg, is shown by the materialists. If you need instructions on that, just read the newspaper, magazine, go on the internet. If you want to follow that. And devotion is demonstrated by transcendentalists. So, because there's two paths in this world, there's two, the Padma Purana describes two classes of men. Dvabhuta Shargo Lokoshmin Daiva Ashram Evacha Vishnu Bhakta Smito Daiva Ashurastad Viprayaha. Famous verse from the Padma Purana. There are two classes of men in the created world. One consists of the demoniac and the other consists of the godly. The devotees of Lord Vishnu are godly, whereas those who are just the opposite are called asuras or demons. Krishna also alludes to this fact that there are natures, the divine and demoniac nature. There in one particular verse, Krishna actually uses the same Sanskrit that is there in that verse I quoted from Padma Purana. I find that very interesting. The first two lines of the verse I quoted from Padma Purana are quoted also by Lord Krishna in his Bhagavad-Gita. The first two lines, he says, Dvabhuta sargo lokoshmin daiva ashura evacha. Then he goes on, Daivo vishtarasha prokta ashuram parta me shrinu. He says, he's speaking to Arjuna, he says, O son of Pritha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine, and the other is demoniac. Explain this qualities. Hear from me about the demoniac. So taking an educated guess, it appears that Arjuna is getting a little nervous because in the next verse, Krishna assures Arjuna, Masucha sampamam daivam abhijato sipandava. Don't worry, O son of Pandu, you are born with divine qualities. So it appears from this verse today that since the beginning of creation, the divine and the demoniac have lived side by side. It's not just Kali Yuga. Because this is the material world and there's degradation, entity, but this fact is, as they say, a formula for disaster. Just like you might have in your chemical laboratory, you might have nitrogen and glycerin. They're two chemicals that are used for various purposes. But woe to he who takes the nitrogen and the glycerin and puts them in one bottle and shakes it. Kaboom! So since the beginning of creation in this world, there's been those who possess divine qualities and those who possess demoniac qualities. And this is a formula for disaster, because the demons and the devotees have opposite and conflicting natures, especially in Kali Yuga, pass each other. Now, live because in Satya Yuga, the demons and devotees, they lived in different universes. So, niet problem, as we say in Russia. No problem. They're far away. In Treta Yuga, the demons and the devotees lived on different planets. Again, niet problem, Prabhu. In Dwapara Yuga, the demons and devotees lived in different continents. You know, we had India and we had Sri Lanka, pretty close to each other. Ravana's kingdom was Sri Lanka, and there was Bharatvarsha, India. But in Kali Yuga, the demons and the devotees live in the same city. Sometimes it's said in Kali Yuga, it's such a horrible age, divine and demonic in the same body. That is where transcendentalists trying to conquer over the modes of nature. Sometimes there's conflict. We have our material desires come forth and overpower us, and then we chant and we read and we pray and we associate with devotees, and our spiritual nature comes forth. So there's this conflict, even within our own bodies, even within our own minds. Krishna says the mind can be the best friend or the worst enemy. Anyway, when these devotees and demons live so closely together, there's bound to be friction. Just like when two sticks are rubbed together. You know, if you were a girl, and we forest and get lost, then you can start a fire. You take the sticks and you rub them together for a long time. A little fire, then you can start a fire. Friction brings fire. So in that way, there's friction in this world, because devotees, they're going up, and demons, they're going down. How are devotees going upward? There's a beautiful verse from the Rig Veda. Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya. Many shlokawalas, this verse is on the tip of their tongue. Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya. Eyes, devotees always see, or sometimes it's translated, are aspiring for the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu, Vaikuntha, or for Gaudiyas, Goloka. We're always, that's our intention. We want to go upwards. But the demons, where are they going? Krishna says, Tannaham dve shata kurun shamsha reshu naradhamam. Those who are envious, those who are mischievous, those who are the lowest amongst mankind, I perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence and to various demoniac species of life. That means they're going down to Rasatala, Patala, down, down, down. We're going up, up, up. So when something's going up and something's going down, goes together, and when that friction scale, like this pastime is not just something happening in Moscow or New York, the neighbors are arguing, No, this is universal friction. The demons are attacking the demigods. This is the big story. This is the bigger picture. On the higher planets. These things happen all throughout the 14 worlds. On the higher planets, then it affects the whole world. When Hiranyakashipu was performing the austerities mentioned in this verse, he created such a heat it became intolerable for the snakes from the lower planets, for the people on the earthly planets, for the demigods. They are burning up in this heat created by the energies of Hiranyakashipu. It was a then the friction erupts into a blazing fire, which has been described as the appearance of the Lord. He appears as that fire, and in this particular pastime of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad, that fiery personality who appears is Jwala Nishringa. Nishringa, but he has special features. So this is Jwala Nishringa. Jwala means fire. The Lord appears to rectify the situation. In the Shesha Upanishad, there's a beautiful verse describing this particular bhagyam bhaje dwalanikeshwarim. I worship and serve Jwala Nishringa, who has a bodily hue similar to the terrible fire that occurs at the time of destruction, who is situated in all ends of the hexagonal yantra, who is all powerful, and who is the god wearing a blazing garland. Jwala Nishringa. Also in the Shesha Samhita, Atitishta Mahakaya Kalpanta Dahanopama Shrina Shringa Namastubhyam Anujnam Datumarashi. O all-pervading Lord, O Lord having a huge bodily frame, O Lord who resembles the terrible fire which appears, O Sri Nrsimha, my obeisance to you, please give me permission to perform my worship of you. The Brahmanas who were worshipping Nrsimha, who is a very popular deity in South India, in many ways he's the most popular deity. If you travel in South India, there's Nrsimhadev temples everywhere. The Brahmanas would invoke this mantra before they would worship their deity of Nrsimhadev. So fire has two functions. It purifies and it destroys. These are two things that fire can do. Two principal functions of fire. It purifies and it destroys. For example, in old days when they were performing a medical operation, they would first put the instrument into fire from any infection. Then now they use chemicals. Similar principle, but fire can purify and fire can destroy. Practically the whole city of Chicago, in Illinois, in America, a prominent city in America, it practically burned down because a cow kicked over a lantern in a barn somewhere in the city. And then that little fire practically consumed the whole city of Chicago. So fire can purify and fire can destroy. So when Jwala Nrsimha, the fiery appearance of the Lord, who appears because of the friction between the demigods and the demons, when he appears, his fiery nature destroys the demons. Potency Stuti. Sri Narasimha Stuti, if I'm not mistaken, was written by a prominent disciple of Sri Madhvacharya, that great Acharya Madhvacharya. He had some prominent disciples. And Nrsimhadev is also a prominent deity for Vaishnavas because he protects us on the path of devotion as we go back to Godhead. He uproots the material desires within the heart, etc. So, Narasimha Stuti describes in particular this aspect of Jwala, Nrsimha, to burn the asuric personalities to ashes. And there's 17 verses, but I'll just read 4. So you can appreciate this aspect of Nrsimhadev, because you're also devotees of Lord Nrsimhadev. O Lord, 2 hands as they son of Diti, him on your knees, tore his chest apart, which blocked the path of the stars. Burn Narasimha, burn my adversaries with your unbearable power. Your mane is burning and is monstrous, and you cause the enemy to fall from his position by tearing apart his chest. Once attaining the opportunity, under the broad roof of the clouds and sky, you raise your hand, powerful as a mace, to strike. I meditate upon you in this form. Burn Nrsimhadev, burn my adversaries by your unbearable power. Appearing brilliantly illuminated, your neck with hundreds of mane hairs is raised slightly and appears to be bitten by 8 bolts of lightning. Just and very ironic fails my adversaries with your unbearable power. The effulgence of many suns is destroyed by your uncheckable potency. The many weapons sent against you are like sacrificial offerings, and you reply with unlimited weaponry. Put down, strike, and slay my illusion. Burn Narasimha, burn my adversaries with your unbearable power. So Jwala Nrsimha has this fiery power which destroys the demons. But interestingly enough, that same burning potency, that same fire, is used to purify the Lord's devotees. Again, fire can be used to destroy, or fire can purify. Mercy, in hearing about him, the devotees' hearts become purified. It's amazing. The Lord is very ferocious to the demons, but for the devotees he's very soft and very kind. And that is described nicely by Sridhar Swami, who Prabhupada described as the first commentator on the Srimad Bhagavatam. he has a verse describing this dual nature of the Lord. He says, Ugrapi anugra evayam, svabhaktanam nikeshari, keshariva shapotanam, anyesham ugra vigraha. Although very ferocious, the lion is very kind to her cubs. Similarly, although very ferocious to non-devotees like Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsimhadev is very, very soft to Prahlad Maharaj. So, protect, but the Bhagavatam, interestingly enough, describes that Lord Nrsimhadev appeared to purify Prahlad Maharaj. Purify Prahlad Maharaj? Wait a minute. He's our hero. And he's one of the 12 Mahajans who we're meant to follow. How could there be any impurities? Well, it's a long way back to Godhead. And the race isn't over till it's over. And we're not actually talking about Prahlad Maharaj, we're talking about the principle that to get back to Godhead, he means that all before your devotional service begins. One time Prabhupada said, real bhakti begins when the heart is freed from sex desire. So there may be gross contamination, there may be subtle contamination. And the example given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is that just like a piece of camphor, those of you who are pujaris and you work with camphor, because camphor is used in the service of the Lord, arati, you take a piece of camphor and you put it on a table, and it's very evident, it has a strong smell. But you take that camphor and you use it for the arati, because it's no longer there. But you walk in the room, there's a sense, you can smell the camphor. It's subtle, but in its aromatic. This is described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavicham vada gadisha kamae mama janmani jamani ishwari bhavatad bhakti. My Lord, I have no desire for money. I don't want to enjoy the women, the opposite sex, and neither do I have the desire for fame, pratishta, to be honored as in charge. Like we say in India, sometimes you get a post, and this is the in charge. When I first came to India, what's an in charge? He's in charge. So sometimes we hanker for position because then we become prominent, and this is discouraged. Rather, humility is discouraged. So the devotee actually, there's some subtlety. So sometimes the Lord uses his devotees as examples in Krishna consciousness, just like Arjuna. Arjuna's also, he's Nitya Siddha, he's an eternally liberated soul, but the Lord chose him so that he could teach Bhagavad-Gita, and it appears that Arjuna falls into illusion and laments, his family members and a bodily concept of life, but actually we know he can never fall down, he can never be illusion, the Lord is using him. So it appears that Prahlad Maharaj was engaged by the Lord in this way to teach us that we have to free our hearts even of the subtlest forms of material desire. There's a verse, the video here, the request to pacify the Lord's anger, and the Lord put his lotus hand on the head of Prahlad. And that verse is very significant. Satat karash parsha duta kila shubha sapad yabidhak yakta paratma dharshana. By the touch of Lord Nrsimhadev's hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contamination and material desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendently situated, and all the symptoms of ecstasy manifest in the body. Love completely his heart. So what is the need for Prahlad to be purified? Well, Prabhupada explains these things. Perfect questions, perfect answers. And in the purport to that verse, Prabhupada writes, out of his causeless mercy, Prahlad appeared in a family of demons. Not that he was forced to take birth like we do, but of his own sweet will he appeared there. As a result of being born in a demoniac family, demoniac blood flowed throughout his body. He was so kind. He has a Satchidananda Vigraha. He has an eternal form full of bliss and knowledge. But out of his appears in the preach. Guru Govinda Maharaj, two types of persons in the spiritual world. One is that devotee who's asked directly by the Lord, you go and you preach Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada identified himself one time. I did not want to come to this nasty place, he said, but Krishna ordered me, you go and you preach. And Prabhupada said, but Lord, I'm not so inclined towards austerity. I heard this personally from one of Prabhupada's servants. So the Lord said, no, you go and I'll arrange everything for you, which Krishna did, eventually did. Another type of personality was one who out of his own sense of compassion used to leave and come here. And the example, this is lives now as good. Vaishnava Thakur says, when will my compassion for all fallen souls manifest? And with a humble heart, I'll go out to preach the divine command. This is our sole objective. By the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, technically speaking, we're already delivered. It's just a question of time, a few more births, whatever. But in cosmic time, that's like that. By the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, if we strictly follow their instructions, there's every chance we can make it. Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in a lecture, initiation lecture in the early 1930s, and I publication, I go back to advantage of that mercy. So sometimes often these great souls, they have that Satchidananda, but out of their causeless mercy, they appear in a family. Sometimes they appear in a family of demons, and therefore, Prabhupada mentioned that the demoniac blood was flowing through his veins. So you could say that Prahlad was contaminated, although he wasn't affected by it. What is an example of that? Not being affected by close association with that which is mundane. Many wonderful came out the hala hala. Not holy hay, but hala hala. Hala hala means the poison came out. And to save the universe, Lord Shiva means he was auspicious. He drank that, and Nilakanta, his throat turned blue, but he wasn't affected. He also smokes the ganja. His followers think, he is smoking, I will smoke. No, he smokes to attract them so that they will follow him, and by his association they'll become purified. But when he smokes the ganja, he's not affected. He's transcendental. He's above it all by the Lord's grace. So Prahlad Maharaj also, although he had that, what type of blood? Pita. Fully surrendered. And Prahlad, we moved by the touch of Nrsingadev, we should never doubt him. Just like Lord Nityananda was sometimes seen going into liquor houses 500 years ago. Oh, see, you're Nitai. He's gone into the liquor house. Why? He's gone in there to distribute books. Principle. He's gone in there to preach. So these great devotees, they come to this world to preach, and they have to have because you couldn't see their siddha deha, their liberated form. You can't see spirit with these gross eyes. Premanjani chariti bhakti valochanena. You can only see spiritual. At the final or the last time that Prahlad would sacrifice in that way, because in the authorized book, Gora Gunadesha Dipika, which was written by the devotee scholar Kavikarnapura, it is said that Prahlad Maharaj combined with a personality known as Brahma Mahatapa, one jiva, to appear in Chaitanya Harirashtam. Others say he was a combination of Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj, and others say he was three personalities. Brahma Mahatapa and Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj. That's very esoteric, but it's very nectarian because these three divine personalities appeared as the personality of Haridas Thakur. And just like Prahlad took birth in a family of Daityas, demons, so Haridas Thakur took a low birth as well. We won't mention in particular because we do respect our religious traditions, but these things are discussed in Bhagavatam class. Prabhupada said that in the public, the Bhagavad-Gita is for teachers and Srimad Bhagavatam is for the devotees. So Prahlad Maharaj as Haridas Thakur, same thing is going on. Just like in Buddhism, they have their bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas means that there are liberated souls who never attain their state of nirvana or nirvishesha or shunyavadis, the Buddhist philosophy, Voidism. But they keep coming back again and again and again and again. I was in Bhutan, I believe it was Bhutan, Buddhist country, and I went to a monastery to spend the night. There was a facility offered to us, and I attended their class in the morning. And the class was a 5-year-old. And I thought, oh, this is humor. And Brahmana. No. He sat down, he spoke for over an hour and a half, fluently. It was being translated from Buddhist scripture. He was speaking on some basic principles, karma, reincarnation, compassion. And my jaw dropped. So I said, how is it? And they said, no, he's our master. Excuse me? And after class, they all bowed down to him. The little boy took the book and walked away. How he can be your master? Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means this is his 14th incarnation as a bodhisattva. So every tradition, they have their saints like this. So there are souls, and thank the Lord there are those souls who come back and to share us. Just to be sure that Prahlad was, quote-unquote, uncontaminated, Lord put his hand in to purify him. And by purifying him, then came the nishta and the bhav, and then the prema. Then came the prema. Ado shraddha tata sadhu sangha bhajana kriya narta nirviti syat. The nishta, their steadiness, and so forth and so on is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So then the process was speeded up by the mercy of the Lord. He immediately attained prema, just like Swami described. Krishna explained that the neophytes who were practicing the basic activities of devotional service, noted chanting Hare Krishna, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, worshipping the deity, associating with devotees and visiting holy places. These processes are so potent that even a neophyte devotee, he writes in the Sandarbhas, can sometimes experience ecstasy by the performance of these 5 basic activities in devotional service. This is astounding. So that is demonstrated in this pastime. Prahlad became quote-unquote purified. The next moment, oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like, feeling all. And this is the reason why Gaudiya Vaishnavas approach and worship Lord Nrsingadev. It's not simply that we want protection, because ultimately you have to die anyway. We want to live a long and as possible healthy life. For what reason? To preach. Not that we can just enjoy life. No, there's no enjoyment in this world. Our enjoyment is sharing our good fortune with others. So we would like to live a long life to share the mercy we've received from our spiritual master with others. But the real reason that Gaudiyas worship Lord Nrsingadev is much more subtle. And that is described nicely in the Navadvip Dham Mahatma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And all Nrsinga Bhakti know this, the Gaudiyas know this. Writes, southeast, when will I see the sweetness of Nrsinga Puri, Devapali, the sacred abode of Nrsinga, and wallowing in ecstasy, beg sincerely for Krishna Prema. In my wicked heart reside the 6 enemies headed by lust, hypocrisy, deceit, and longing for position. When will I pray at the feet of Nrsinga to purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Krishna? When will I weep at the feet of Nrsinga and beg for service to Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, begging for worship free from the obstacles headed by lust? Will that fear and give Nrsinga is pleased and make this worthless fool fearless and without sin by speaking the following merciful words. My dear child, live happily in the Dham of Gauranga. Perform worship of Radha and Krishna and relish the holy names. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles will be vanquished. With a pure heart, worship reverentially all the sweet exchanges between Radha and Krishna. When will the Lord say this and happily place his lotus foot on my head? Immediately I will roll about on the earth with the sin. Bhagavan Maharaj. Hiranyakashipu, and he purified Prahlad. So don't think that Prahlad was contaminated. Of course, Hiranyakashipu, he thought his son was contaminated. Because he heard that Prahlad was preaching in the school of Sandanamarka. And he heard that he was preaching some of this Vaishnava philosophy. And these boys were chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. So he said, oh, my son has been contaminated by the association of Vaishnavas. Hello? So he said, bring the lap, and he blood. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Shmaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandham, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. And Prahlad went, oh, thank you very much. Because of his false ego, he was thinking that Prahlad was glorifying him. But Prahlad corrected his father. He said, Pita, I left out one word. Vishnu Shmaranam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Shmaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandham, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. I didn't say Hiranyakashipu Shmaranam. So Hiranyakashipu slapped at Vishnu Bhakta. He slapped hard. Lord up. Ultimately, he tried to kill his devotee son. So that point's significant. What was the end result of this pastime? Because we don't have much time left. What was the end result of that great Vaishnava aparat, which came as a result of the illusion that Hiranyakashipu was under as a result of his sinful activities? What was the end result? The result was the demon died and the devotee survived. We say, you judge the result of the scheme to become immortal, to live eternally and enjoy life. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. But he didn't even want to die. He wanted to eat, drink, and be merry and live forever. So what was the result of that lifestyle that Hiranyakashipu had? At the moment of death, he lost everything. At the end of a materialistic person's life, he has nothing to show for himself. But for a devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, the spiritual attributes that he gains through a lifetime of service to Krishna, they last forever. Titik Krunika Shuridam Sharinam Shadava. Look at a devotee, he's decorated with all saintly qualities. When Prabhupada was walking across the street, one time in London, the Bobby is the word for policeman in London, he took Shyama-Sundar, Prabhupada's servant, by the arm. He said, "Look, your teacher's glowing like the sun." And when Prabhupada's illustrious disciple, Jayananda, walked into the room one time, Prabhupada smiled and said to the devotees, "Look at Jayananda, he looks just like Lord Chaitanya." Sarva Sudha Bhushanaha. This was the result here in Vrindavan, lifetime prema bhakti, then back home, back to Godhead. So even if you don't make it, you're guaranteed nothing lost. Whatever you've gained, you keep. So which path do you want to follow? Which personality do you want to follow? Utilize your intelligence. Prabhupada said intelligence means to see things in the proper perspective. We can understand the material nature and the spiritual nature perfectly by studying Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of our spiritual master, our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Swalpam apasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Krishna declares, in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So the end of material life, devotee, eternal title for a is the beginning for a devotee. Unlike Hiranyakashipu's unglorious death, the death of a Vaishnava is glorious. Just like Dhruva Maharaj. When it came time for him to leave this world, what happened? The Vishnu Dutas arrived with a flower airplane and invited him into the airplane. What did he do? He was so confident, he stepped on the head of death into the airplane. This is the death of a Vaishnava. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. A Vaishnava dies to live, and while living tries to spread the holy name. Death, of which everyone is fearful. Bowed lotus feet. I'd vanished to mythology. This is mythology. In the Bhagavatam it's described, Sadadarsha vimad rigyam nabasho batara dhruva vibra jaya dasho disho raktapatim ivoditam. Exactly what happens to a Vaishnava when he dies. Concerning Dhruva. As soon as the symptoms of his liberation were manifest, Dhruva saw a very beautiful airplane coming down from the sky as if the brilliant full moon were coming down, illuminating all 10 directions. This is what we have to look forward to if we're strict. A glorious ending to a life of devotion, whose end, Mother is painting, it's the most gory thing you can imagine, that Nrsimhadev is tearing apart Hiranyakashipu. The classic photo, it's on most of our altars. I heard that to get into the mood of that painting, she went down to the Department of Motor Vehicles and saw photos of automobile accidents and how people were torn apart. It was all gore and blood. And then she painted that painting of Nrsingadev. For all his ranting, raving, and bellicose behavior, what were the final moments of Hiranyakashipu like? Actually described the last moments, of his life. In the Shubha Shita Ratna Dhandagara, verse 55. I'm going to quote verbatim. And listen, this is like really nectar. Of course we know he was liberated, but this is what he had to go through to get liberated. You chant Hare Krishna, dance and take prasadam, and you're liberated. This is what the demons have to go through if they're killed by the Lord. And this is verbatim. When Hiranyakashipu saw his servant running towards him in fear, he spoke as follows. Hiranyakashipu, what is it? What is it? His servant, O Lord. Hiranyakashipu, sir, this lion has a human body. I've never seen such a creature. Hiranyakashipu, if that is the case, bring him here. Servant, O Lord, he's coming on his own. Hiranyakashipu, bring my chapa. Chapa means bow. Bring my bow. Bring my chapa. Bring my chapa! Oh no! His nails! His nails! His nails! May that Nrsingadev, who thus tore the chest of Hiranyakashipu with his sharp nails, protect you all. Bhagavan Nrsingadev ki. So the end of life for a devotee and the end of life for a demon are different. Different because of the ways they lived. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, your bhajan, the quality of your bhajan, you can chant very nicely, straight tilak, to chant from the heart. It's not a mechanical process. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, your bhajan will be determined at the moment of death. If you chant it properly, then that's by Krishna's grace, his name will come, his form will come, something will come, Krishna conscious to your mind, and you will be delivered. So determined by how we live. So by hearing about and studying the lives of these two persons, the king of the demons and the best of the devotees, we can use of course, of us have made the right decision to follow Prahlad Maharaj, to follow in the path of the Mahajans, of which he is one of the illustrious personalities. And in so doing, we're assured of the protection of Lord Nrsingadev. Prabhupada said when he introduced the Nrsinga prayers in Los Angeles in the early 1970s, there was an attack on the temple, and actually Prabhupada was there. So that morning, instead of giving Bhagavatam, he taught the devotees the Nrsinga prayers that we chant. Namaste, Narasingaya, Prahlad, like that. He taught them word by word, 2 days in a row actually. These are particularly of the Society for Krishna Consciousness. And that means the devotees, because collectively we are the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, by following this path, we're in this world, padam padam, yat vipadam natesham, it's very dangerous. One could be harmed physically, one could be harmed mentally, one could deviate from the path of devotion. So for our protection, we take shelter of Lord Nrsingadev, and that makes the path that much easier. And rest assured that Lord Nrsingadev, all his Prahlad Maharaj, from this greatest of asuras. There's a beautiful verse in the Narasingha Purana which describes this blessing of the Lord in protecting his devotees, and I will finish with this verse. Om Nama Kalaya Kala Dhamshtaya Karala Bandhanaya Cha Om Ugraya Ugraviraya Ugra Vikataya, Ugra Bhajraya, Bhajadehine, Om Rudraya, Rudugoraya, Bhadraya, Bhadrakarine, Om Drim Hrim Srimhaya Namaha. Om, obeisances to the time factor, Kalaya, to him who has time as his all-crushing teeth, Kala Damstraya, and who has a greatly fearful face, Kala Bandhanaya. Ferocious, terrifying, Ugra Vikataya, to him who has fierce thunderbolt-like nails, Ugra Bhadraya, and who has a robust bodily frame, Brajadehine. Om, obeisances to the dreadful, Rudraya, dreadfully horrible, Rudugoraya, who at the same time is auspicious, Bhadraya, and bestows auspiciousness on his devotees, Bhadrakarine. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Sri Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhagavan Narasimha Deva ki, Go Bhakta Vrinda ki, all glory